Well, hello and welcome to Money Talks. I'm your host, Ed Marshall. Well, people all across the Gulf Coast are taking safety initiatives to prepare for the 2018 hurricane season. We'll tell you more when we come back, so stay with us. Well, welcome back to Money Talks. June 1st was noted as the beginning of the 2018 hurricane season, which will last through November 30th. Officials across the metropolitan New Orleans area are urging residents to be ready just in case the likes of Hurricane Katrina come our way. Hopefully not. Everyone is asked to put aside supplies and to have a plan in place just in case a mandatory citywide evacuation is necessary. At a news conference several weeks ago, our new mayor of New Orleans, Mayor LaToya Cantrell, provided the public for hurricane evacuation just in case. Also included in her information, she talked about the mandatory, if necessary, evacuation, where people can go and what will happen then in terms of any shelters, in terms of assisting. And she also talked about there will be volunteers who will be staged at 17 points across the city to register evacuees and provide them with tickets and wristbands for transportation. RTA buses would transfer people to the Union Passenger Terminal downtown, where buses would take people to shelters outside the city and return them to the terminal when the storm is over. For more information on hurricane preparedness, please go to the city's NOLA Ready website. Well, I have to tell you about some news that we are really want to talk about, and that, of course, is cancer. It's alarming, but factually, Louisiana is one of the leading states in the country with residents diagnosed with different forms of cancer. And while that news is alarming, there's also some good news on the horizon, as two organizations are strategically postured to talk about some new technology that will hopefully prove successful in the ongoing fight against cancer and stamp it out. Joining me on the show is the Executive Director of the LSU Health Science Foundation, Matthew Altier, and the Managing Member President of Orilander, I have to get that right, Medical Technologies, Paige Miller. Both of you, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's good to have you all on the show. Of course, we're talking about an issue that it hits everybody. Well, I don't know anyone who hasn't had someone die of cancer. Matt, let's start with you, with the LSU Health Science. I'm on that board, and I so much enjoy it because we've got people from all businesses, walks of life, and of course, Carol Suggs is our new leader. She's tough cookie out there, love her to death, and she's making things happen. And of course, we all are, particularly since we have you in place as our new executive director. So welcome. This is the first time on the show. But tell us how this strategic get together between LSU and of course Paige's organization came together.
Wonderful, thank you. Yes. Well, we have an endowment set up, and of course our mission is to support LSU Health and the faculty and the staff and students. Within the endowment portfolio, we invest money in different agencies and different organizations through an investment manager. A portion of the endowment is set up for potential equity investments in startups. We decided that it would be a good idea to use a small portion of that piece of the endowment and invest it with LSU startup companies that are coming and forming right from our own faculty.
That's so significant because we've got two doctors that are on the cutting edge of something major. So let's talk about that, and then we're going to get to Paige because it's super exciting news. I can't hardly just wait.
It's very exciting. When we decided to go ahead and look at the potential of investing in LSU-related startups, our very first company, the very first company we looked at was Oleander. And I'll let Paige describe what they came up with, but it was so exciting to us. We evaluated it. We set up an ad hoc committee to look at the science to make sure it was solid, and then we looked at the potential for the return on investment, and everything worked. So Oleander became the very first company in the history of the foundation associated with LSU that we're actually investing in. So we're extremely excited. We're looking forward to working with Oleander as they progress through their study and their research, and bringing what they've done to market.
So Paige, tell us about this. Tell us about the doctors and of course you being now joined at the hip with us at the foundation.
In many ways, actually.
Yes.
So the two scientists, one is Dr. Harry Gould, who is an MD, PhD. He's a neurologist. The other is Dr. Dennis Paul. He's a pharmacologist. So the two of them have been doing research together for nearly 20 years. They've been studying pain and why certain pain becomes chronic. And this discovery about cancer was something that came by accident. It was an epiphany that came out of their research into pain. So they figured out something unlike any current way that cancer is treated, how to actually get advanced cancer, which we really don't do much with anymore, right? Get those cancer cells to literally swell and burst without damaging the normal tissue nearby or any organs. So this is like a big,
That's huge.
big thing, right?
I'm sure y'all got a lot of people from all over the country now calling and
There are
saying
a lot of
what's going
people.
on.
So most current cancer research is very targeted on a specific kind of disease and a variant of that disease, and it's genetic based. This is totally different. So this is based on cell structure and how to get cancer cells to take in sodium ions, block their exit. Then water comes across by osmosis and it swells just like a balloon until it bursts. And it works on a whole bunch of cancers. The ones we know about that we've tried it on are the big killers: lung cancer, breast cancer, colon cancer, prostate cancer, and the one that's really interesting for our area is mesothelioma.
Yes.
Because nothing works on mesothelioma. So we have tried it at the cell level in test tubes and in mice, and we can cause the tumors to stop growing and shrink.
Wow. So when do you think that the CDC in Atlanta will say, okay, guys, this is working? What's the next step for either one of you?
So the next step is you do this in mice. Your goal is to get to the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, to get their approval so that you can take it to humans. The next step, and we've just ordered a machine that will let us do this, which will let us put a dog or a cat inside a device so that we can deliver the energy. So that will come just around Labor Day. We will work with the LSU Vet School in Baton Rouge. One of the cool things about this is we've worked with the engineering school, we've worked with the vet school, we've worked with the medical school. All of them have been helping us to come up with this technology.
Yeah.
So we try it on dogs and cats, and if that works, then we'll be in a position to go to humans.
So we're cross-pollinating all these different areas. Are we not, Matt?
We are, and that's one of the things that excited us about their business plan. Is it's not something that they're trying to take directly to human trials. They're utilizing a process with our vet school to first try and cure stage 4 cancers in pets, which in itself could be a very large market across the United States.
Let me tell you, pets are my daughter has a Shih Tzu, and when Paisley is sick, the whole family is sick.
That's right.
And because they become a part of your family, they really do.
My son and daughter-in-law just lost their dog to a stage 4 cancer, and I can guarantee you, if the process was in place a year ago, they would have done it.
Wow. So we're just excited to hear about this. And when I got the news from Matt, I said, I've got to share this with our audience across our metropolitan area, which covers 9 parishes and parts of Hancock County, Mississippi. So you heard it here first. And we look forward to you all coming back again and visiting with us. Let's put up those websites, though. We want to make sure that people know how they can get information from your area page as well as from Matt. So Paige, how do people reach your organization?
So oleandermedicaltechnologies.com, and I describe the process, but there's a great animation that is on the website that shows you how it works.
Yeah.
So I'd suggest people go take a look.
Okay. And of course, we just recently shortened our name for the foundation.
Yeah,
so
we're at lsuhealthfoundation.org. And we have the initial press release that talks about our investment in Oleander. But like I said, since we've passed this policy, we're open to and looking for other LSU-related startups that potentially want to get some investments. But we're extremely excited about starting off with what we think is one of the most important.
So if they're out there, please contact you as well.
And I want to thank the board and Matt for the fact that you guys have invested in us, because your credibility and your willingness to step forward early to invest will help us with other potential investors believing that we really have something important.
Well, thank you. And every month when I sit down with these wonderful people from all walks of life, it's truly an honor for me to be a part of that board and to have you, helping us. And Matt keeps us extremely busy. He's always thinking outside of the box, so we appreciate that. All right, I want you all to come back when we have more information and when they make those approvals, so we can start using that on humans, because we're losing a lot of wonderful people, and that's got to stop. Thank you all for being with us. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to talk to a gentleman who located our show by going to YouTube. That's right. And we have his narrative about what's going on with people re-entering society after they paid their dues behind bars. We'll be right back. Welcome back. On last month's Money Talk show, we featured two local organizations involved in assisting people who have paid their dues and are re-entering society from being incarcerated. We received numerous emails after that show from local viewers and viewers who watch Money Talks on YouTube, which led to our next guest flying here to New Orleans to talk more on this subject. We welcome Mr. Ricky Reed, who is a Houston businessman and also works with a reentry program called Purpose, Power, Praise. It's a worldwide prison ministry. Mr. Reed, welcome to the show.
Welcome, and thank you. Thank you for your vision for this show to allow me and others to have the platform to come on here.
Well, I tell you, I appreciate that, and because we were having a discussion in the producer circle about YouTube, and so you proved to my folks that YouTube does work. People are watching it, and when they said, this man's in Houston, he wants to fly down, and I said, okay, when is it going to come? They said, no, he wants to fly in on his own dime. So we appreciate that because of the narrative that's going on across the country about incarceration and people who are getting out of prison, who are looking for work and they've paid their debt. And we're going to talk about that. But before we do that, I want people to know a little bit more personal information about you. And that is that you got into this prison ministry through an unusual means,
Yes, indeed.
through being a comedian.
Yes.
Tell us about that very quickly.
Well, it was very, very awakening for me, because as a comedian, I'm used to going on stage and making people laugh. And the comedian that was on stage, it was a guy sitting in the audience, very dark-skinned guy, and he was hammering this guy. And I'm like, oh, when I get up there, I'm finna kill him. So I get on stage, yeah, you so black you leave fingerprints on charcoal, you darker than a paddle, let the shoe roam around.
Oh my God.
And when I got off stage and got into the green room, God said, what do you think you're doing? Who are you?
Wow.
And I have something for you. It's your time. And in my mind, I'm like, is it Miller time? I don't drink. I need to drink a beer or something. He said, it's your time. I'm going to lead people across your path that's going to have the power, the ability, influence to help you. And then I had a series of dreams. And in the dreams, the last dream, I was coming on stage and I looked out into the audience. I saw people all in white, but there were different color faces on it. When I woke up, went into the living room, sat down, cut the television on, and it was Mike Barber's Proclaim Ministry. I thought it was just a church. But when the cameras panned out into the audience, there were people in prison. They all had on white, and I saw all those different places. He said, that's what I need you to do. I need you to go minister to the captain, so I embrace that. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but it kept in my mind, I will lead people across your path to have the power, ability, influence to help you. So I need you to be focused on what I need you to do.
And never made a comment, as like a lot of those comedians do again, about different stuff like that, because it really is not a funny thing, you know. And the divine helped you realize that, and took you from there to actually where you actually go in and minister. Tell us what it's like when you are talking to someone who's getting ready to re-enter society, so to speak. Because they have learned some skills while they were incarcerated.
Yes, they learn how to do things wrong right for the next time. But it's been very interesting because their compassion to do better and to get into the workforce again, a lot of them is being turned down. I was working as a supervisor at the VA hospital. So there was a program.
This was
in Houston, in Houston, Texas. So they had a program there, this ITTWE program, where veterans that were incarcerated before and had drug issues, they get to be in a work environment. They get to get used to coming to work on time, following instructions, and they're very skillful. The guys that's coming out of the prison, they're very skillful now. They just don't have that chance. And so as a supervisor, what I would do is I would take them around to the contractors, because I was over the contractors coming in. So I've trained them how to mop, clean floors, strip, wax floors. And so when they come to me, I had them for about 3 months. So I would take them to them contractors and I would say, have you know anyone that was incarcerated, or anyone in your family that was incarcerated? How did you feel? And so I make it something that was personal for them. Would you give them a second chance? And they say, yes. I say, these gentlemen, or this young lady, were incarcerated before. They're working for me. I've trained them already. So you don't have to. So you don't have to spend all the money to train them again. And they gave them an opportunity.
We found that the majority of people who are given that chance actually go on to become, members of society and doing well and teaching others from what they went through?
Yes, because they understand what they went through, and what they want to do is they want to become better, because if they're helping someone else, God it's like God saying, what I want you to do now, this is your purpose. You help someone, that person's going to help someone, that person's going to help someone, and it's going to grow and grow and grow.
So it's an educational type of
educational thing. When they took education out the school, it was one of the worst. When they cut education and after school programs, it was one of the worst things can ever happen.
Well, we appreciate you being here, and we're going to have you back next month, because we got more questions, because we have so many people talking about how, so many people, and particularly America has more people incarcerated than any other country, which is quite disturbing when we're supposed to be the leading country. And so we want to talk to you more about, personalized in terms of some of the people you've actually walked with that came out of that situation and where they are now. So we want to have you back next month, if you will, come back and share more information, because this is a very big topic across the country, and we have a professional businessman like yourself who is willing to give of his time to do that. We certainly want you back, okay?
I have a great person that I'll be bringing back with me. There was a drug dealer, and his book is From Deacon to Pulpit.
Wow.
No, from dope man to deacon.
Wow, okay.
That's going to be powerful.
We'll look forward to seeing you and meeting this gentleman who's turned his life around.
Exactly.
All righty. Mr. Ricky Reed, we are pleasure to have you, and we will see you in July.
And I thank you, Ed, and I thank you for having enough confidence and God having confidence in you.
Appreciate that. All righty. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Well, welcome back to Money Talks. We're talking to a very special friend of mine and a guy who literally, you've seen Dr. Phil. Well, I call him New Orleans' Dr. Phil, and that is my good friend, Dr. Dana Truth Andrews. Welcome to the show. Good to see you.
Good to see you as always.
You know, I tell people all the time, it's nothing like, it's where I come from, putting the skunk on the table, as they say. You know, telling the truth about where we are and what we're doing. And that there's a whole narrative now about men, white men, Hispanic men, black men, caring about families or whatever, but we're sitting specifically because there's such a negative narrative about, particularly when you pick up the newspaper, whatever, you know, and I'm not just putting up, but any media, there's a lot of talk about, you know, why black men do what they do, whatever. You're going to have a conference coming up that's going to be just diving into what's going on with the African American male now.
Exactly.
Talk to me.
You know, looking back in retrospect, especially when I first started doing what I do as an inspirational speaker back in the late 1990s, I've watched the male experience change. Coming from a traditional family, 8 boys, 4 girls, mom and dad, same parents and whatever. So a man raised me, therefore I know how to be a man. And then I thought that was then I realized that, you know, you got to look at how you were raised and who raised you. And so a man raised me, therefore I have a perspective of manhood from a traditional mindset. However, I married a young lady, the second marriage. She comes from a family where a woman ran everything. So that had to send me back to the table as to how am I going to coexist with this relationship, knowing that if it's going to work, I'm going to have to remember that to be a man in her life, I'm going to have to prove myself as a man because she came up differently. And so that's what motivated me to really want to look at this thing about manhood differently. And that's why I am now.
You know, I had the traditional mother-father situation too, but so many of my friends didn't.
Exactly.
And I tell people all the time, I said, you know, if you ever listen to a football player, whoever, first thing they say, I want to buy a house for my mother.
For my mama.
When the traditional thing is that the family has had the house, you don't have to buy me anything. You go out and take care of yourself.
Exactly.
But that whole narrative has changed too.
It's changed dramatically.
Yeah, and a lot of that's because that fathers have not been in the home. And here in New Orleans, as you know, we have a propensity of a lot of, and we're not taking anything away from a woman at the head of a household. We're certainly not doing that. But we are saying that there is a role for men to have in terms of what's going on in the household.
And when you look at the male in the household, if he's in the household and everything that he sees is basically a woman at the helm running things, unless there's a man to come in and add to, or in some cases interrupt that process, then that boy is going to grow up with the idea that a woman is supposed to take care of him. Even as he's an adult, as a man, he's still looking for a mother figure to take care of him. And that's interesting
and
because
a lot of that.
Yeah.
There are guys who just don't work, whatever, and the lady takes care of them.
Yeah.
We're going to delve into a lot more of this subject at a special conference that's coming up, and you call it the Real Men's Conference, and it's June 9th. And I'm so pleased that I was asked to be one of the speakers. I'll be talking about men and finances and you know, different things like that. But you also have on the rod. Well, you tell us who some of the other people will be out there.
Well, if you think, now you take your glasses off to read. I have to put mine on to read. That's a sign of where we are.
That's
no,
it.
We have the Real Men's. Actually, it's the Real Men's Movement, but we start off with a Real Men's Conference because before you can move, you got to sit down and have a battle plan. And so that's where we're starting on June the 9th, and it's going to be at the Treme, that's the Treme Market branch. That's on 800 North Claiborne, right at the corner of North Claiborne, and I think it's St. Anne. And I understand it's a nice place and whatever, and what we're going to do, we're looking for about 125, 150 people to start off with, you know, to come in and let's sit down and let's be revived. Let's be refreshed. Let's be rejuvenated on understanding this thing about manhood.
To the website and get We're going to put that up there, then go to the website and find out, the cost to come in or whatever they need to do, because this is an informational kind of thing. This is not a money maker. It's strictly, to take care of the bills of the day.
Right, exactly.
And so we want to make sure that people from all walks of life, can come in, and certainly people of all walks of life are welcome.
Females also.
Females,
Because
black, white,
men
Hispanic,
today,
whatever. Everybody
exactly.
that's the part of the gumbo in this area.
Come on in.
out and get some new information. All right.
Okay.
I appreciate you.
No, I appreciate you.
Okay. We're going to be at the Real Men's Conference. And when we come back, we're going to have much more information for you. We're going to talk about the wonderful people who are entering the workforce, these wonderful graduates from college and from high school, and a very, very special high school graduate that I'll tell you about in a minute. Stay with us. Southeast Louisiana Legal Services, known as SSLS, and its executive director, Laura Tuggle, and other people who were invited, cut the ribbon on its new location at 1340 Parger Street, which is located across the street from the New Orleans City Hall. SLLS is a nonprofit law office servicing low-income community residents since 1979. It provides free services to eligible people through its staff and volunteer attorneys. SLLS works with community groups and social service agencies to give up-to-date information about legal issues affecting the poor in Louisiana. It is also collaborating with other legal advocacy organizations around the state and nationally in litigation and educational efforts to protect the legal rights of the poor and to improve their lives. SLLS covers about 22 parishes. In conjunction with that grand opening, artwork for the new office's client sitting area was donated in memory of the late past President and First Lady Reverend Norwood Thompson, who worked tirelessly with the New Orleans chapter of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, which also championed civil rights for financially less fortunate residents. The SCLC was chartered right here in the Crescent City in 1957 by local civil rights leaders and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And you'll hear more information about some of the things to make sure that the memories of these two wonderful people are kept alive. There's a committee with their daughter, Miss Evangeline, and also their sons, and there's much more information about what will be done to help keep their memory alive because they did so much work with the gun buyback program in Jefferson and Orleans Parish and so much more, and we dearly miss them. In other news, new transportation is on its way for our neighbors who rely on the Algiers ferries to travel from the city's west bank to the foot of Canal Street on the east bank. That word from State Senator Troy Carter. He says the New Orleans Regional Transit Authority has been awarded a roughly $2.4 million grant from the Federal Transit Administration. Officials say along with an improved terminal and the two ferries that will accommodate more passengers, it will also enhance passenger safety and security. The terminal, as is, has no air conditioning, heating, or internet. The roof leaks and security cameras often don't work. And existing ramps used by the physically challenged provide no covering protection when it's raining or when the sun is out in full force. All of the upgrades are seen as part of a future economic development leading to additional job access opportunities in the city's West Bank and Federal City. The completion time for that entire project is the year 2020. Well, Delgado Community College continues to provide skilled professionals to the local workforce. Some 794 students received their graduate diplomas at Delgado's Spring 2018 commencement. 20 of those graduates were dual enrollment students, receiving their electrician certification from Delgado and their high school diplomas from Warren Eastern Charter High School. Great job. And you may remember during Black History several years ago, there was a 12-year-old boy who came onto our show and was asked questions and he could answer them about any United States president. Well, time flies, and that young fellow, Parker Boyd, is now a 2018 graduate of Brother Martin High School and will enter Loyola University this coming fall. And as predicted, he says he will go on to be an attorney. Somehow I know he will. So congratulations to Parker and all of the graduates. Well, that's going to do it for Money Talks for this month. We certainly hope you receive information you can use. Until next time, remember, it's your money and it's your community. So make it work for you and work in the community. And always stay in peace, not pieces. We'll see you.